Wow. It is a lot of work. It's maddening how much work it is. But, the good news is if we have to focus on progress, and the one thing we are seeing across the board is progress. And I think it was extraordinarily important for us to find that stuff. I found it very interesting in the video that you just played. These are real world conversations that we're going to be having in the
Indeed.
future.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
they're literally, it's so funny. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but in my mind, my biggest project ever is not Netflix, but a Netflix type series about the awakening. I call it the True Awakening. And one of the premises, to give you a little bit, is the conversation a grandfather is having with his 16-year-old granddaughter 50 years in the future,
Wow.
and trying to explain everything that was really going on historically. So it's and the reason why I thought about this a couple of years ago, because I do think that this is an extraordinarily important conversations that we need to have. I would recommend start having them now, folks. And I know you're going to be called the weirdo. We deal with our family all the time. We finally got at least two of them to stop saying not everything's political. And we're like, yeah, because we finally articulated that no, none of it's political. This has zero to do with politics. This has to do with the way we need to fix and change things. So great opening, Robert, and what you said and articulated is so much. Guys, you don't have to really do much to step up. I'll give you an example. So we the video that we played, which I believe we're going to have on our close today. Am I the only one? We played it on Friday. Thank you to Robert and Bruce allowing me to play that on their show. We premiered it. It's going pretty viral right now on several platforms. We had trouble uploading it to Truth Social because they have a parameter that they can only make it so big. So Robert's downsized that, and I just posted on Truth Social. Why do I say that? Because just a little thing, and it's very motivating. I'd had people call me and crying. I've had people thanking us, saying how amazing it is, how motivating it is. Just go to Truth Social today, during the show, after the show, whenever, to Screw Big Up, and just forward that video. Little things like that are very helpful because that's a very motivating video and it gets people energized and they get to work. So that's working. That's getting off your proverbial couch, although you can still do it while you're on your couch. So it is important right now, guys. We have some momentum, so everybody has to kick in and kind of keep pushing that ball forward.
We really do, and it is a good message to let people know that it doesn't have to be, your people think it's like, oh, this has got to do. It doesn't have to be big things. It could be small things. Enough of us doing small things, we're starting to build the momentum. We're going to talk about some of those stories today of how we're starting to see the momentum shifting and the messages shifting, and people on the other side who were really sound asleep are kind of what's going on? They're asking questions, right? And it's incumbent upon us to be the ones to support them, because the awakening process is not easy.
Which means, folks of you that are watching this, anytime you hear somebody in the Patriot community saying this, everybody that is awake is awake. Nobody else is going to wake up. Just reject that outright. That's a bullshit, false statement. And actually, what it really does, it's just another excuse for people to stop having conversations.
Yep.
And this is it. You're going to start hearing these type of things constantly, and they're just excuses because people are worn out and tired. I get it, right? And they get beat down, and the reality. It's not easy to get a no. One reason for myself and others that I know that we've had a lot of success in business and certain type of relationships is because a no was okay. We just knew that was that much closer to a yes. We didn't take it personal, right? So, but we do understand that when you get rejected with the patriot message over and over and over, it's hard. Doesn't mean anything. It just means you're that much closer to somebody saying, opening up and getting, hey,
Yep.
Tell me what you got. Explain to me. But don't use excuses like, well, everybody's awake is always. It's just not true. It's a blatant, flat out lie. More people are waking up right now than there were 2 years ago.
Here's a funny story. I had some friends in Canada who disowned me literally because of the stuff I was posting on Facebook about. So they weren't talking to me at all. They wouldn't respond. They wouldn't like anything that I've done on Facebook. And all of a sudden, the past few weeks, they're coming back around, not saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," not saying you were right, acting as if nothing happened.
I know,
right? So I'm okay with that. I don't need the, "Hey, Rob, you were right." I don't need the ego stroke. Thank you very much. If you give it to me, that's fantastic. But I don't live off that. That's not my energy, right? And it's kind of nice to see them coming around because you know what's happening is that the seeds we've been planting are starting to sprout. You may not think, it doesn't look like it, when I want pumpkins, I can put the seed in the ground and come back 5 days later and there's nothing. 10 days later, there's a little tiny little sprout. Where's my pumpkin? It takes a while, right? It takes 90 days, 120 days before you see that big giant pumpkin show up. It's the same thing here. So we've been planting these seeds and we're not going to stop. And people are now starting to come to fruition. They're starting to sprout a little bit. They're starting to see, maybe Lewis had a point there. But they're never going to come up and say, "Lewis, you were right about that. I was wrong." I don't think we're ever going to have that conversation.
Well, and if we do, it doesn't really matter. And you made a good point about that. It's more important to move the ball forward than it is for us to get recognition for a disclosure. And the egos are going to prevent people from doing that, especially if they're family or friends in most cases. So don't worry about getting patted on the back. I always try to tell people, we imagine we're in a real war. Yes, it is also kinetic, but let's just pretend it's not kinetic. But if it was, it's not going to happen. So we have to understand we're in a real war right now. So getting recognition for it is not, trust me, it's not important. I mean, it's nice, of course, but just keep moving on.
And you can shut them back down if you start telling them, "See, I told you so, you were wrong and I was right." You could shut them back down again, right? So that door is open a little bit. Wait for them to open it all the way up.
Yeah.
And it may take a little while, but they're open it at their own pace. Some of them are going to get there. There's still, 3-4% of the society that will never get there. We're not worried about them. They're on a different path. They've got, a different outcome than we do. It's fine. But those that are willing to come along, I'm here for you.
Yep.
Yep.
Those 4 to 5% may be part of the culling process too. And I know that sounds very harsh, but they may not have a future.
That's right.
It's just the way it works.
Yep. Hey guys, if you haven't go over to screwbiggov.com, Lewis's website. You'll find information there. Remember your oath, freedom in action, the Cages documentary. There's new documentaries coming. They're in the works. They're in the planning phases. That's so cool. And if you want to find him on Telegram, use that social media link down the bottom right there, and you'll get the correct Screw Big Gov Telegram channel, because I know there are copies out there, and sometimes it doesn't come up in search, so that's the way to do it. Screwbiggov.com. Keep up with whatever Lewis has got his hands in, which is always a lot. He's always got something else going on, which is kind of fun to be around that kind of energy. All right. As we jump in here, I was going to dump in. No, we're going to jump in today. I posted this on Telegram yesterday. It was kind of interesting. Breaking Republican Speaker of the House, Representatives Mike Johnson claims there is insufficient evidence at the moment to initiate. And the reactions were kind of interesting. And somebody pointed out, they said, well, if you were to impeach him, would that not then validate him as president? And somebody else said, you can't impeach a fake president. What say you, Mr. Herms?
Whoa, I hate when there's so much to say on one subject. Okay, so there's a lot of red flags, and there's a lot of things that point to there's something different going on here. So a major red flag is when every single Republican hands down voted to put this guy as speaker. That's weird. That sounds very crazy, deep state-like, except for we know 6 or 7 of the House representatives are not deep state. So it's very odd. It's confusing. And then when Solis announces this guy as the 45th Speaker of the House, that drops us all the way back 150 years to approximately 1871, which is when we know Constitution was manipulated. We became officially a corporation, and that would mean President Trump, our CIC, Commander-in-Chief, would be the 19th president. So then if you go, okay, can you have it both ways? Are you really going to have all these Rhino Republic game, right? And then I do agree that the impeachment would be invalid if he was invalid. So it is a catch-22. Here's what we know. This chessboard is a lot deeper and taller and more dimensions than we could possibly ever imagine. So we try our best on a program like this, and a lot of other patriots and Anons try their best to diagnose this. I would say just sit back on this guy right now. Don't put too much judgment, because there's a lot of weirdness going on if you lean on either side. He's cabal or he's not. In both sides, you can literally justify, which is crazy right now. So I am actually being patient and pragmatic and holding my tongue on this one and seeing how it plays out. I think there's something a lot deeper here.
There certainly is. I mean,
a lot deeper here.
Yeah, and it, because none of it makes sense, right? So the dots are not connecting again. So we're in this situation where we've got all these pieces, but they're not making a whole lot of sense to us in terms of, is he deep state? Is he not deep state? What doesn't really make sense is, how did he get 100% of the Republicans to vote for him?
Yeah.
What was the deal that went on there? Because that doesn't happen, right? Our party is not like the Democratic Party. We don't all stick together like that. Never do, right?
Are you still saying our party? Are we going to have a talk offline again?
I am, only for pragmatic reasons, that it's just easier to understand it that way. But
I know, because we're all linked into it, and the reality is we've grown up in this matrix, and it's hard to get a part of it. So I'm just teasing Robert, because I really, really deeply believe we have to get away from party association, because I think that intentional divide is what got us here in the first place.
Keeps us divided, and now we're having the Israel-Palestinian thing. Gender, I mean, as you look at the 50,000 ways they're trying to divide us, that's why Remember Your Oath is so brilliant, because it answers the one criticism or challenge I think a lot of people have is, I feel alone. Guys, we're not alone. We are the majority. We just don't have tools to come together because they divided us on social media, right? You couldn't speak your truth on Twitter. You couldn't speak your truth on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You go down the line, any one of them, right? And you felt like, well, there's only one side coming across, so I must be the only one.
So I'm so glad you brought up that we're the majority. So, and it's hard for people, because if you're on the Twitters and the this and the that and so on and so forth. So let's talk about the construct of the social media. Social media was constructed as a CIA, DARPA construct in general, not just Facebook, but in general. And the purpose was to get the Marxist ideology and the control mechanisms out there. So they've been positioned to do that. So much for a lot of people don't know that right after Obama left office, he immediately had a whole floor in an office filled with 300 people that go on and put his propaganda on social media. Right after. I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know. And then you go how we already have proof that DARPA funded and created Facebook and used a Mark Zuckerberg as a shill in the front. And we understand they did the same thing with Bill Gates through Microsoft and so on and so forth. So it goes very, very, very deep. So when we understand that, you should have 75% of the voices on social media being Marxists, because the other 25 that can permeate are still having to come through the how do I say it? The construct of it's a word I'm looking for. When they push their words down. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm even doing this. Censorship. Jeez, wow. I need to go to take a nap. But anyways, so if all the conservative messages are being censored, right, you're only going to get a small portion of them that are actually going to go through. Here's the good news. It's changing dramatically. If you go on Twitter, so I'll take this video, for example. If I go on Twitter and I tracked it, 80% or 85% right now of the responses, the comments are positive. Last check on YouTube, believe it or not, out of 164 comments, one negative comment on that video. And it's the same on all the other platforms right now. We are starting to permeate it, guys. This is fantastic. I'll give you one real world example is my wife and I did a private polling, and we ended up, I think I ended up counting how many people we talked to individually when Gavin Newsom was being recalled. Gavin Newsom's a Democrat from California. If you don't know, he's a governor. I don't think it's the same person now, but regardless, when he's getting recalled, everybody tells you that California's a blue state. We spoke to 26 people independently, didn't know what their politics were. 26 out of 26 said, we're recalling that guy. Yet, of course, in the polls, he won 66%, 66.6%. I'm sure that was an accident. So it tells you, though, guys, is everywhere around the world, the conservative voice is a lot stronger. Yeah. The difference is that squeaky, nasty, disturbing wheel called Marxism is screamed so much louder and intimidates people is why we think. And then you have the media that will obviously project their message, not ours. So we are winning, guys. So just get out there and keep talking and keep talking. And, forget all the merch that we sell. Go somewhere. So, we're not trying to position our merch. Go buy something that has your favorite message on it. Wear it every single day outside. You're going to be surprised at how many people come up to you and agree with you. They'll give you a thumbs up, a smile. They'll say hi. They'll say, hey, I love that. They'll strike conversations. When I do it, it blows my mind. Even with the most out there message, people come up and they're like, that's cool. And they'll have conversations. So get out there. Come on, guys. We need you.
We need everyone. Everyone has to step up a little bit. Then you talked about Newsom. You were right. Because I had the exact experience, and everyone I talked to, got to get this guy out. We're recalling him. Think about this. 2.5 million signatures. That's a phenomenal amount of signatures to get just to have the recall, right? And then he wins by 66%. Doesn't make sense. The numbers don't add up. And they weren't even like creative with it. They gave him the same numbers basically that they gave him the first time he won because nobody contested it. So, well, I guess that worked. Let's just do it again. Yeah. And now we're looking at hang on.
Yep. Go figure.
So the good thing is Lewis brought this up last week. It's coming up. We're starting to see it happen more often. So this was in Dallas County, Texas. ES&S, you know who they are. Their competitor to Dominion. Hundreds of checked-in voters showed up at the end of the polling. So as they were closing up, all of a sudden they saw the numbers go up. And here's the numbers. This is kind of funny. The poll book video should have had 182 voters. However, the machine randomly began to add more and more voters until finally displaying 1,377 voters checked in, or 1,195 more voters than should have been displayed. They weren't actually there. Now, the cool thing about it, we're catching it sooner. This would have taken months in 2020.
Exactly right.
And
there's an army being built right now for 2024. I still don't know if 2024 is going to happen, by the way, but we should prepare as if it does. I had this talk with Doug, as you know, Dr. Frank, and I don't believe, but we both are in agreement that we should prepare as if it's going to happen,
right?
And not sit on our laurels, because we need to be out in force tracking this stuff. And the good news is, if we can catch it in real time, we can make a difference. Make a big difference. So we'll see what happens.
But we've got to make a stink, and we haven't. We've been conservative in our responses, and as you're conservative in your responses, they figure they got away with it. If there's no pushback, they keep going, and we see that 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. They continue to play the same games because they get away with them. And we're not making a big enough stink. We're not standing up. We're not going into the Board of Election Supervisors, Board of Elections, and making a stink and making it. And then, of course, we've got Ronald McDonald running the RNC, so we don't have any weight there. So these are things that we know, these are the levers that we need to get our hands back on and change.
So true.
Ronald McDonald, I love it. All right. So guess what? The U.S. is running low on air defense systems, according to the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
An increasingly hostile environment in the Middle East has prompted the U.S. to deploy an additional 6 batteries of the MIM-104 Patriot missile system, doubling the total number in the region, the Wall Street Journal reported on Sunday. The Pentagon is now running low on the equipment, the newspaper said. The reported relocation was conducted amid a spree of missile and drone attacks on American military bases in Iraq, Syria, and Washington has attributed the Iranian proxy to that. The additional batteries were sent to Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, which hosts dozens of U.S. military installations. Now, I'm not so concerned about the number of Patriot missile batteries going down. What is interesting here, is not being reported, is that we are in the war, that our bases are being attacked and we're hitting back.
So what that means to me is you actually have what would have been conspiracy theorists doing mainstream exposure on the House floor, or even if it's in a separate meeting, but it's connected to Congress. That is a big deal, because this needs to get on the record. And this is just part of this frog in the pot theory that I believe we're slowly acclimating everybody to this. So the fact that we, as in truthers, and I know Thomas Renz to be one for sure, and Malone to be one, okay? I've met Thomas Renz and spent some time with him. So I know these are what we would consider truthers. The fact that they're getting to step their feet into that ring is actually a really positive thing. It's not fast enough for anybody, but it's positive that they're in there right now. So that will only get bigger. It won't get smaller. And then hopefully will end up permeating into the public. But I do see it as overall as a good deal.
Anytime we can shine light on the truth, right? There's good there. And you're right. It gets it on the record. So that's a good step. But, Hunter Biden's laptop, was it Matt Gaetz who entered that into the record, 2 years ago? Yeah, no, I agree, but they have to get in the record. The fact, though, that they're being recognized by somebody in Congress is what I'm saying. Yeah, that part is the big deal. Overall, it's a very, very, very teeny first step. Right. But now we have so-called truthers that are actually being recognized as somebody. And remember, Malone was exposing stuff, and he was being torched 2 years ago. Yeah, he was. Right? And Thomas Renz was being, they want to try to disbar him. They did everything they could on Thomas Renz. So this is actually I believe this is going to be the crack in the door to get a lot more stuff done there. But, the reality is we kind of still need the people to do all the work locally. We need the military to do the work in the background, and then this stuff will flush itself out. We're moving in that direction. If you got to look at the bigger picture, right? Look at the macro rather than the micro, and you start to see, these little steps, but it's building. And every day we're seeing it. We're seeing a little bit more momentum, a little bit more, and then, we're going to get there, and it's just going to pop. One day we're going to wake up and, what do you mean there's no more U.S. government? It collapsed, Yeah. Benjamin Fulford's talking about that in his newsletter today. It's like it's imminent now that the U.S. Corp is done. It's bankrupt. So we'll see. He's said that before, you know what I mean? But they found ways to keep funding it and keep it going, and war is one way they can do that. So. Yeah, it's very interesting how the Marxists they run cover very, very well. Yeah, because not only are we bankrupt, the economy should have crashed, and the stock market and the real estate market should have crashed over a year. And all this other manipulation that they did, funding it into certain sectors, and that sector would come by and spend money over here, and it kind of maintains, but in the background, what do we get? We get massive inflation and shrinkflation happening the whole time too, because other people can't afford it unless they were in the medical industry. So one held up another, which crushed another, and it is that big bubble though. Yep. And unfortunately,
I'm just trying to get people to take action and work now instead of waiting until their bank accounts are completely drained and they can't get cash out of the bank. I would like them to work now, but I do understand that unfortunately people are going to have to. It's going to have to hit their pocketbooks, and then suddenly they're going to go, "Oh, what can we do?" Well, yeah, okay, we're still going to welcome you, but a little late to the party.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's always a cleanup crew. You know?
Yeah.
Grab a garbage bag, clean the tables off. There's always something that needs to be done. So if they join, they join. This one I found interesting. Who's she talking about?
She's translating.
Yep.
She's saying it's much more disturbing for the deep state. The deep state should all be scared. The deep state should be very, very, very concerned. She's projecting because he's scaring the living daylights out of them.
Yep.
And she's right. For the deep state, he should not be the president because he's going to tear them
everything she's accusing him of doing, Biden administration is doing. He's going after his political enemies. He's, it's like putting judges, and the whole thing, every step that she talked about, it's what Biden's already doing. Oh, what if Trump gets in? He's going to do that. Wait, who are you talking about?
Because her deflection is he's going to come after my protesters.
Correct.
And he's going to come after my people that are doing illegal things, and my this and my that. That's what her reflecting.
It's projection. It's absolute projection.
Exactly what it is. It's crazy.
That's why I say which is which. Which one is she talking about? She's talking about Biden there, not Trump. Trump had nothing to do with this conversation. I'm sorry, he wasn't part of it. But it's interesting to see it in mainstream media, and it begs the question: do people who watch what program she on MSNBC, do they buy it still? Well, some of them do.
Yeah, there's a portion that do, although the ratings are dropping through the floor. Mm-hmm. So, but they do buy it. It's. I think we're in a really, really fun time because I'm seeing people you never ever would expect to be awake asking the right questions now.
Yep. I'm seeing that too, and it's really kind of fun to see it. Just wow. Yeah. So yeah. This is out of order here. Okay. There's a video that you found, Louis, you had shared with us, and I'm going to play it without audio so we could talk over it. Because this is a veteran at TSA versus... Time for a swish? What do you think?
I just swished.
You just swished before the show. You got it going before. All right. Hey, we want to talk to you about NutraSwish real quick. Great product. It is a glutathione product, and it is nanoparticleized glutathione, which means that you can get it, if you just put it in your mouth, swish it around, and your tongue under your tongue will absorb it sublingually, and you'll get it into your bloodstream right away. You have an immediate impact of increased energy. Wouldn't that be cool? A little bit more energy. How about sleeping a little bit better? How about recovering faster after exercise? How about assisting your liver in dealing with oxidative stress, right? And helping it detox the toxins that you're exposed to. That's what you get with NutraSwish. Great product. Louis and I, we look at a lot of different products, and a lot of people pitching us all the time for things, but this is one. This is one we really love. And they have a new version, a new product for women. Louis had a bottle. You still have a bottle there? You can show them the bottle.
I do. Yeah. I use it every day.
Neumi Hers. This is for women to help with their hormonal shifts.
We're already getting a lot of feedback from this, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
I know you heard a lot of people getting results too, but maybe you could read and tell us all about it.
We had great conversations with some ladies this weekend who are telling us about how they're experiencing it. Helps with cramp relief, decreased bloating, hormone balance, minimized hot flashes for ladies who are up at that age, improves sleep, natural energy, increased libido, your man will be happy, and mood improvement, your man will really be happy with that one. It's designed for women in all seasons of life. Every ingredient in their botanical formula was carefully selected to create well-rounded blend of benefits. With Hers, every woman can flourish. You want to take a look, have a look at that? We have a link free, renegademedia.tv/energy is where you go, or just scan the QR code and you'll be able to get more info and place an order. Give it a shot. I think you're really going to love it. Certainly, the NutraSwish is a game changer for so many. And I'll share one thing with you real quick here. This came up earlier today. We were talking about Bruce Poppy and his hair and everything. Well, he changed the game on us. He went this way instead today. So.
I think you realized that his hair color wasn't going to be permanent.
It wasn't going to be as permanent as he thought it was, but he's still using the Neumi, so he's still going to have good strong hair coming up here.
I think his head turned in from American flag to a Nigerian flag in color. So, I guess that's not who he's trying to support. By the way, man, this Herms product right here, should buy cases of it for your lady. Trust me.
Good point, Lewis. Good point. All right. Somebody you're familiar with, the pro-Trump shaman.
Oh, yep.
He's going to run for U.S. Congress. Isn't that kind of interesting?
I heard about that.
Yeah. Jacob Chansley, dubbed by the media the QAnon shaman. Of course, there is no QAnon. The media doesn't know that, though. We won't tell them. Is now seeking to return to Capitol Hill, but this time as a member of Congress, so he can go in the hall legally. Chansley filed the paperwork with Arizona to run the state's 8th congressional district in 2024. He's 36, U.S. Navy veteran who gained his fame during the January 6th protests in 2021 in the U.S. Capitol. Kind of cool. I like that he's coming back.
It's the most interesting part there is there's a lot of denial that he was part of an operation because he's not even part of the military, and right there it just says, what'd you say about the Navy?
U.S. Navy veteran.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very interesting. He's got a great story. He's got great information. We'll see what he has because I'm really curious. I want more so-called conspiracy theorists to start running for office because I'm really interested to see what the response is when the media goes after him, because the media is going to go after him in a certain direction. They're crazy, especially if he's ever said anything about flat Earth or something like that. So I'm very, very curious to see how that works. It'll be fun. It'll be really fun to watch, and I'm going to be paying attention. That's for sure.
What are the chances he wins in Arizona, though? And so that has me concerned a little bit.
I really believe where Arizona goes, the rest of the country goes.
Yep.
So I think we should be paying attention to Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. Those three, for some reason, is where I think we really, really should be paying attention to.
Right after 2020, I think every one of the Trump lawyers said Arizona is the easiest one to turn over. We're going to get that one. That's easy. And then it was Wisconsin. Wisconsin will be easy. We've got all the proof. Wisconsin will be easy. Failed there too. And it just went state after state after state. But they started, you're right, they focused on Arizona. And it's interesting that Fox News called Arizona when only, 3%, 5% of the vote was in? They called it for Biden.
Because that's exactly what controlled opposition does. Yep.
So they didn't have the numbers. They didn't have enough there to say, hey, this is the way the election's going to go. But they called it anyway, which is beyond crazy.
Well, here's why Arizona is so important. Arizona is not a big state.
Right.
Let's be generous and call it average. They had a 97-mile long caravan for President Trump. That tells you everything you need to know.
That's the whole state.
97 miles.
Yeah.
So we know 100, and there's so many optics like that are very important coming in the near future, because what happens is you're going to connect the dots, and we've heard the future proves past. This is kind of like it, you know what I mean? Because what's going to happen is we're going to connect the dots. We're going to prove through the right people, and I know the right people are involved now, that are going to expose this information. And we're going to prove this and say, look, next time you see something like this, it's pretty blatantly obvious. Why doesn't anybody say, well, how could there be 100-mile caravan and yet he lost? That doesn't make sense. Nobody connects these dots, though, which just blows me away. The conservatives don't even connect the dots.
I know.
They just go, okay, we'll get them next time.
Yep.
But I think they're starting to figure out. In fact, they're doing some polls now, guys, which are very interesting, that are like 67% of that's good news for us, by the way. Good news. Ironically, 20 some percent of those are Democrats.
We didn't give up on the narrative. The media told us we were crazy. The media told us there's no way, there's no proof, blah, 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 blah. We didn't give up on it. Trump didn't give up on it. And because we didn't give up on it, at some point people are going, well, wait a minute, look, how many ways did he already break the law where he should have impeached 20 ways to Sunday and nothing's happening? I mean, how could he open up the border? How could, just on and on and on. And it's waking people up in a big way now that they're seeing that, and they're recognizing, you know what? Maybe he didn't get elected. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Not quite there yet, but they're getting there. Right?
I think if Trump was in office now, the how do we say it? The conservatives would feel very good about everything. They'd be very, very complacent, and the deep state would be reconstructing their operation in a way that would be even worse for us in the future.
Yep.
I think the beauty of him not being in office is we, the people, are part, which is huge, in deconstructing the deep state. And I've talked about this before. If we're not part of the solution and we're not owning it, the accountability factor for us doesn't exist. So we're just going to repeat this bad behavior. And that means, yes, we are accountable. Guys, we had bad behavior. We had bad behavior because we turned a blind eye to it. We had bad behavior because we knew our food was poison and we just turned a blind eye to it. We had bad behavior because we knew our doctors were not making the right decisions and we just went along with it. Right? So that's where we have to take our accountability. We knew that the education system was falling. We knew that we were number 40 in the whole world 15 years ago. So yes, folks, we need to say we need to own it because we understood it and we just kind of let it go because they frog in the pot at us the whole way.
Yep.
So the difference is now this reverse frog in the pot, we're acclimating ourselves to the truth. And the idea is that we will get there slowly, but we'll never go back. And that's the most important thing.
We'll hit the tipping point soon. And when we do, you'll start to see things moving in the right direction a lot quicker. I know it's frustrating now because things are going so slow, but you hit that point and it flips and all of a sudden it starts going in the other direction and things start to happen a lot quicker. And Lewis and I have this conversation a lot. I think even we are going to be surprised by some of the things that we uncover and that we find out, right? Because we're thinking things are a certain way because of the information we're seeing, but they're only allowing us to see a certain amount. But when we get to see the whole picture, it's going to be different than even we believe it is right now. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
Crazy stuff. Well, Bidenomics. How are we doing with Bidenomics? What do you think? Democrats would reportedly advise President Joe Biden to
go that direction. And that's going to be the hard part to break into. I believe when it comes down to it, you and I are about on the same 4 to 5% are just going to be, forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. There's just nothing you're going to be able to do about that 4 to 5%. So if that's true, it's this 14%. How are we going to permeate them to get them to wake up? And that's going to be a tough nut to crack, I think.
Really is. I think a lot of them are the 40-year-olds living in mom's basement, playing video games all day, and they're completely disconnected from society. And they don't necessarily need to know much about society because the way their lives are set up, mom and dad are taking care of it. They're paying the bills. So they're not out there working. They're not out there driving. They may not even own a car. So whatever happens out there, it's not really their business because what's important to them is what happens on the screen in front of them. And so long as they have that video game going, they're fine. So I think, not to make fun of them so much, but they're hypnotized into that. And that's very addicting, intentionally so. And they get drawn into that and their whole life revolves around it. And they live in that world. They don't live in our world. They live in that world, that virtual world, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And it is a virtual world. It's not reality.
No.
But they're so blind to reality. These are the NPCs of the world that we call them non-player characters. and we see it often. And my wife and I were at a restaurant not too long ago, and it was the weirdest thing. This young lady was our waitress, and she walked up to the table and asked a question, and I answered it. And this is not an exaggeration. I hope it comes across on camera. She was like this.
Zombified.
And we were looking at her going, is this really happening? And this happened like 2 or 3 times. And we're just blown away. I'm like, wow. What the heck is going on? So if I didn't answer the question perfectly as she would expect it, yes, no, or whatever, it's almost felt like she short-circuited. And I think there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that are just like that. Yeah. And that's part and parcel of a lot of things. I think it's the way our food and our air and our water's been poisoned forever. And most importantly, this probably plays the biggest part of all.
Very addicting.
And we're just going to have to work through that, guys. I don't think it's going to be easy, but, we're going to have to put the work in. Very interesting, though.
So what's going on with the post office? You had some breaking news about the post office. What the heck's going on there?
That is. I think this is huge news. So the U.S. Postal Service will actually be implementing a new policy. I don't know if you heard about it. Mail will now be called they, them, or non-binary post, which is crazy. Now, they do understand that the word mail, M-A-I-L, is spelled differently from M-A-L-E, but phonetically it's determined that it's offensive, so therefore it's going to be they, them, or non-binary. Amazing. So, just crazy.
Only the U.S. Post Office would think of these things.
Yeah. And then, there's more breaking news over the weekend, too. And it's now official that Black Friday will be renamed African American Friday, right? Now, unfortunately, there is pushback, though, from proponents of Indigenous Tuesday and not sure who the hell I am Thursday. So, we're going to, this is just the way it's going.
It's a mess. And you can't call them mail carriers anymore because that's too mule-like, and we don't want to be defending the mules. So
males are heavier anyway. So you would think you would call them female carriers, so they would, carry less weight across to where they have to do. But then that's not cool either. So they're they, them carriers, because theys and thems are lighter, and non-binary, it doesn't exist, right? Because it's non-binary, therefore it's like a gas, so it's really light. So you can fill your bag with non-binary, and you really have an easy day.
Postal lives matter. There you go. Unpopular viewpoints in the house. That's Bruce Poppy, if you don't know.
Just crazy.
Good job, Bruce. Good job.
Now, real quick, people are asking me if this is for real. No, this is a really bad Lewis joke, so we clarify this. So now everybody put LOL in chat. Thank you very much.
Denise says, LOL, freaking cracked me up. Absolutely hysterical. So she got it. They did this survey. And I'll go over some of the points with you. I know you can't read them on the screen, so I'm not expecting you to. I just want to let you know it's there. They're not coming up here. The United States has the highest per capita rate of civilian firearm ownership at 120.48 firearms per 100 people. So more than one firearm per person. American civilians own 46%, or 393.3 million of the world's 857 million civilian in-use firearms.
So it's like 0.28 firearms. Is that just like a pocket Derringer that's really small?
I don't know, or maybe it's just the handle. The rest of it's not there. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a kit. It's the first part.
With 245.8 firearms for every 1,000 residents.
Wait, say that again. How much?
245.8 firearms for every 1,000 residents.
So that doesn't make sense. If there's 1.28 per resident, that means they only have a quarter per resident if those numbers are correct.
So, the United States has the highest per capita rate of civilian firearm ownership, the entire country, right?
Right.
It's 120.48 firearms per 100 people.
Oh, it's how many per 100? 128.
120.48. So 121 if you want to round it up.
So that's 1.2 per person. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So then how is Wyoming, 250 per thousand, because that would mean a 1/4 per person.
Yeah, well, it shifts by state, so this is a state breakout.
But I thought that was one of the highest per capita. That's what I'm saying.
Montana was.
I think it's a misprint, but
Oh,
can't speculate that on somebody else's 86. It does happen.
yeah, it does. It does. 17,000 people sign a petition so far against the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. A petition organized by 1 Million Moms, part of the Conservative American Family Association, says the event will expose tens of millions of viewers at home to the liberal LGBTQ plus minus question mark period agenda. The sponsor of the event, the department store Macy's, did not answer Daily Mail's request for comment. In their petition, 1 Million Moms warns Macy's against making a similar mistake as Bud Light. Shame on Macy's for promoting and sponsoring this type of entertainment. We still cannot trust Macy's department stores. Clear Macy's does not have our children's best interests in mind. Macy's needs to know that trust must be earned, and once trust is lost, it's difficult to get back. So 1 Million Moms is putting up this petition. If you go to 1millionmoms.com, if you want to sign up, they had 17,608 when I took this screenshot earlier today. Yeah, I grew up watching the Thanksgiving Day parade and the Macy's parade in New York. We always did. Put everything aside. We're watching the parade.
Macy's is on the fast track to bankruptcy, anyways, among other issues that they're having. So this will just help them put them over the top.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how many news items have the number 17, 107, 170, 1700, 17,000, 170,000, 17 million? It's just really interesting. It's just coincidence, I'm sure.
Of course, crime is a little bit out of control in that little city.
Yeah, you'd think. So it's interesting. They'll discharge their weapon, right, to save a car for Biden, but actually Biden, they didn't discharge a weapon.
Yep.
They're not there when they need that to happen. And I think it's in a diary and it's public.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody can access that type of evidence, but that masked wonder doesn't get in trouble.
That's right. That's right. It's always fun for me to see these sanctuary cities, and it backfires on the people running these places. It's always kind of fun. It's like, well, what do you think would happen if you defund the police? What do you think happens if you let all the criminals out? What do you think happens if you bring in 8 to 10 million illegals?
But Robert, that is what they want to happen.
Yeah,
that's what they need. They need the breakdown of society and the
chaos. Yeah.
That's how they create these 15-minute cities that they really want to go to. It's safe. It's so amazing. So they create the problem and then they give you the solution, right? Hegelian dialect. So the reality is they need as much chaos as possible so then they can lock you into your 15-minute city.
Yep.
What you don't know about your 15-minute city is your 15-minute city in the future will be an indoor city, which you think will be pretty cool. And then they can just gas you anytime they feel like it.
They can turn off your power. They can turn on your stove and not turn on the igniter, fill that room up with gas. There's a lot of things they could do. Every time we see a smart home and smart this and smart that, you got to wonder if you can control it, somebody else can too. Right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Alexa, turn off the lights.
Alexa, who's stealing your stuff?
Oh, so let me see. What do we got? Philadelphia, Chicago. Where are we?
Yeah. Now they've gotten even more brazen. Now they're just attacking the trucks in the daytime. Poor girls trying to make a delivery and left the truck open. These thugs come in to steal it. I should go look and see where that was. I didn't take note of the city, but you're right. It's a good idea to figure out where that was. You think Philadelphia? It looked Philadelphia-like. Old brownstones and stuff. Yeah, it could have been Philadelphia. Anyway. It's taking a long time to open this file. It's not going to come up.
Alexa, play My Ding-a-Ling by Chubby Checker.
Lucky mine can't hear you because I've got the earpiece in. That's not
I
in the room.
know. Yep, yep. I know I got some people last time, so we'll see what if I get some other people
We'll
this time.
see. We'll see if they say that in the chat room here. All right. That's the end of my list of goodies for today. We have the song we're going to play at the outro. Am I the only one? Different outro today than normal. Getting a lot of great response and reviews from this song. Want us to give us a sort of an overview of what the song's about and the impetus behind creating it?
So what happened is at the end of True Tour 77, we're kind of having an after get together, and Denise came to me with a song that Tenor recorded, and he did a beautiful job. It's a cover for Am I the Only One? And I said, let Tenor know I'd love to produce that. So then he gave me all the information and, kind of what his thought process was. And then I produced the video for this. And it's getting a lot of traction. I think it's very, very timely. So for a little bit, at least, we're going to play it on the end. This is going to be our outro for a little bit right now. So I'm very proud of it. Tenor, the guitarist, the keyboards, they all did a phenomenal job. And, Aaron Lewis writing it did a great job. And in essence, it's really a tribute to how hard President Trump has worked for We the People. And I know there's some black pillars out there, but I don't see it that way. I think that he's really put it on the line for us.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of good response from this video. And you posted it today, you said, on Truth Social, because somebody big might see it.
Now it's native on Truth Social. So guys, if you saw it on Truth Social before, it went to a Rumble link. Techie head Robert taught me how that I could upload it to there just like other ones. So he downsized the video. So now it's actually native on Truth Social. So you can just forward it all over the place on Truth Social. And hopefully President Trump sees it. I think he'd appreciate it.
That would be cool. That would be
cool. I
have
some other ways to get it to him, but we'll see if I work on that or not.
Awesome. All right. Any last words before we wrap up for today?
No, I'm hungry.
You're hungry.
God bless everybody. Let's go. We got this.
We got this, people. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking and making sure that you are still subscribed to our channel, because we know that some people have been unsubscribed for some reason. So click the follow button if it's green, and make sure you're following ScrewBigGov, also Renegade Media, and the videos that we're playing here today. I will post on Telegram